Hey, and welcome to Lauren Goes Live on Sundays. Trying to make this a routine and a pattern and a habit to be able to share some information on Sundays, and that's because most other days of the week I am moving so fast I have some difficulty slowing down. So Sundays are just a good day for me to hop on and share what's on my mind and share some secrets and tips and things that might be beneficial for you in the coming week. So today I want to talk a little bit about one of the two of my favorite things that I use for emotional regulation and productivity and focus, and both for me and for kids, and that's exercise, the other being food. And we'll talk about that probably next Sunday. So exercise, huge factor in being able to regulate your emotions, both as an adult and being able to help kids regulate their emotions. So you can do exercise and not, it can be up-regulating or down-regulating. So you can have exercise that kind of like builds you up and gives you more energy, and then you can have exercise that brings you down and slows you down and relaxes you. So exercise doesn't just have to be something like high intensity or sweating. It could also be things like yoga and stretching. That said, one will take you up and one will take you down. So there is this theory of the brain where you have your limbic system, which is your emotional control center. You have your prefrontal cortex, and then you have your brainstem. And when your brain develops in the womb, it develops from the bottom up. So through the brainstem and the limbic system, and the prefrontal cortex is the last to develop. So that means that your thinking brain is part of the top-down methodology. So there's top-down and there's bottom-up. And essentially what that means is the top-down approaches, the things that work on growing the muscles of your prefrontal cortex, are things like yoga and mindfulness and meditation. So that's like slower moving exercise. So you want to work on those things with kids to grow their muscles of their prefrontal cortex or their thinking brain. That will make this part of the brain grow. We want that. We want to strengthen that so they can stay in that part of their brain more frequently. Or you also have the brainstem, or your fight, flight, or freeze impulsive behavior response, and you could do the bottom-up approach. So the bottom-up approach is movement and breathing, touch, things like that. So that would be maybe more of your high-intensity exercise. That said, I would include both components into both your exercise diet and your kids' exercise diet. And in the blog post we posted recently, I go through the importance of exercise, kind of the brain chemistry behind it, the chemicals released in your brain, and then different ways to exercise with your kids. It doesn't look so much just like exercise as we know it. So there are things like inversion. So inversion is essentially just having your head upside down or your head kind of below your waistline. And kids can invert themselves in lots of ways, as can we. So you can do a handstand, of course, but you can also do downward dog pose. You can do toe touches. You could do a wall sit, or not a wall sit, your feet up against the wall. So your back on the floor, feet up against the wall. Kids could lay on a couch or something and tilt their head back off the couch. So the scientific benefit of that is serotonin. So it's a hormone released, a chemical released into the body that really tells the system to calm down. And it's your chemical that makes your body go, ah. So more inversion. Also, I would say you could do music and dance. That kind of movement is really regulating and gets kids exhausted. You could do jumping exercise, or all kinds of jumps, like not just jump rope, but if you search like kids jumping exercises on Google or Pinterest, you get so many options. Beyond that, actually in the post, I even posted the blog post, and I'll put the link below in the comments, but I posted the ABCs of exercise for kids. So for each letter of the alphabet, it gives an exercise. And I actually vaguely remember my boxing coach doing something very similar, where we had to like work through, here's what it was, and this is a great way to incorporate exercise. She had us do board games, and with each turn and each move, she correlated the numbers or things within the game to exercises. So for example, chutes and ladders. each number represented like a cheat sheet that she had, and the number meant so many of a certain exercise. So I would encourage you to take your games that you have, tie movement to your games, and get your kids some exercise while you're playing some games, especially if they can't sit still long enough to finish the game. You could do resistance work too, so anything with like a little bit of weight, and it doesn't need to be like exercise weights. It could just be a plant. Your kids can lift a plant. I have like, I don't know, anyone keeps rocks in their house, but I keep Red Rock in my house. Kids can lift little rocks outside. They can push chairs. They can push boxes. Like anything of resistance weight that is appropriate for their body size would be really regulating for them. So I think about, what is some resistance work? Can they lift things? Can they pull things? Can they push things? Can they carry things? Like anything at all of appropriate weight. Even sometimes for kiddos in classrooms, I will take a little tiny backpack, maybe theirs, stuff some board books in it that's appropriate weight for their body, and I'll let them carry it around just for a couple minutes, maybe like 1 to 3 minutes. And just that weight on their shoulders, and they're having to like keep their posture upright and carry that, it really slows their energy down. So simple solution there. And let's see, what else? You could certainly go for a hike. You could create an obstacle course, and Pinterest and Google have tons of ideas for both indoor and outdoor obstacle courses. And actually, I would look them up, because I think I threw an example in the blog post, like an image of an outdoor obstacle course. Someone got real creative with things that they could use, like toys and other things in their house, to create these obstacle courses. And the kids can go out and do them on their own once you show them how to do it 1 or 2 times. So really beneficial. Of course, like bike riding or running or anything like that, where they do have some more high intensity, would work as well. And I would even encourage you, and this goes more to like you, but it could be tied to the level of a child, is I use something called the Sweat app. I think you can try it for a week free. Sometimes if you have someone that uses it and they send you a link, I think you can get maybe a month for free. But the Sweat app, and it's not that expensive considering what you would pay for a gym membership. So I don't pay for the gym, but I pay for the Sweat app. And it gives me 5 different trainers, and each trainer has a series of workouts, and they're all different lengths and times. And what I like is none of them are really over 45 minutes long, and the workouts range from 15 minutes to 45, but I usually do the ones that are like 20 to 40 minutes max. So when I'm working out, I know I only have to commit like 30, 40 minutes to that time. But what I like about the Sweat app is it organizes everything for you. It has the countdown timers, it shows you videos, and even though that's designed, lost me there for a second, but I'm back. Can't tell. So the Sweat app has these circuits that it works you through. Like let's say it's 2 different exercises and you do 10 of each, and you keep doing that for 3 minutes. And that's what I would do as maybe an adult, but maybe for kids, I have 2 exercises and they do them for a minute or 2. Then we do that again. And the 3rd time the exercise circuit is done. And if I kind of create visuals for them, they can pick out their own exercises, and if they know the formatting of the circuit, they can do their own circuit. Even young kids, if they go through it enough time with support, they can eventually do it on their own. And if they feel like they're an adult and they're doing adult-like things, even if it's exercise, that gives them motivation, because they feel a part of, they belong, and we naturally want that as social beings. So that's a great model. There are also some kids apps as well. I would say in terms of like actual exercise equipment for kids, it exists. Dollar General actually has quite a bit. They have like 1 pound weights, they have ankle weights, they have an ab roller, they have a balancing ball, and Amazon has stuff as well, and it's relatively inexpensive. Even I really love the foam rollers. Like Dollar General has them for like $4. And on YouTube you can watch foam rolling exercises and teach kids how to roll on this foam roller, and it actually like massages their muscles, again releasing serotonin and the calm chemical. I think the importance too is like exercise any point of the day is good, but the most beneficial time for exercise, both for you and your kids, is first thing in the morning. And I know morning routines are really crazy and everyone's trying to get out the door and get to work on time and all of these things, but our cortisol levels, our stress hormone, it's the highest in the morning when we wake. So by choosing to exercise first, even if it's 5 minutes, you are kind of cleansing out that cortisol. You are getting that dopamine and that serotonin release, so you're getting the pleasure and the calm chemical. So dopamine is the pleasure, serotonin the calm, so you've got that woohoo, and then also that like And back to back, that's really beneficial because it brings the energy up, then the energy comes back down. It boosts metabolism, so they'll be hungry and their bodies will be ready to digest the breakfast they're about to have, and their stomachs will be settled for when they get to school or daycare or wherever they're going. And beyond that, takes oxygen to the brain, so you're able to better think and focus. And the last of which is BDNF. If you have not heard of BDNF, the release of that happens when you're exercising. I would Google it. I would search it real quickly. So interesting. It supercharges your body for the day, and it's brain-derived neurotropic factor. And I would do a quick little Google search on there because it's so beyond, like, it blows my mind. Anywho, that leads to kids who are able to attend, kids who are able to focus, people who are productive, so adults, it leads to productivity for you. And it really, exercise at the beginning of the day especially optimizes your brain and clears it out and gets it ready for what's going on the rest of the day. And that could be, again, for a child or for adults. So I highly encourage exercise early in the day. And that may mean that you've got to change your nighttime routine to get everybody to bed earlier so that you can get up, or your kids can get up, or both of you can get up and exercise in the morning. And I know quite a few parents who are in strength training programs that they are trainers, and they work out in the morning with their kids. Now, granted, you don't get quite as good of a workout in, but it is still movement, and that's the point, just get movement. So here's the big thing. You can't go from having no exercise routine to having the one you want within a couple of days. It takes time, energy, conscious commitment, and it works best if you build it into your routine. So commit to it every day or 3 days a week, and start in small increments. So if you're not devoting any time to it right now, just devote a minute or 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And once you've done that for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and you feel comfortable with that routine, then add some more minutes until you're happy with where you're at. Okay, so start small, chunk it up. Once you make it a routine and a habit and you're used to it and you feel the benefits of it, then add more time to it. I'm going to end with this. I feel like, are always underhydrated, and that's why at like 2 o'clock adults reach for the coffee because they think they're tired from lack of caffeine or they need more sleep. A lot of times it's just dehydration, so making sure that you and your children are hydrated. And an easy way to do that is to make sure that there's always a water bottle for both of you, and especially a water bottle that kind of measures out how much water you are drinking. So about half your body weight, kids, half their body weight in water a day is what we're aiming for. So being really intentional about getting more fluids, getting more water, because again, that helps with regulation because your brain stays hydrated, things fire and wire better together. But yeah, that's my thoughts on those are my thoughts on exercise, and I encourage you to check out the blog that I'm going to link below to just read a little bit more on exercise, why it's important, and a whole bunch of strategies to use with kids. And I would love your feedback, anything that you gain from or try, or things that go well or don't go well. You're welcome to pop back here and comment, or you can comment right on the blog. Great to see everyone.